Joining us this week on Extra Time with the Courage is assistant coach Nathan Thackeray, who has been the head coach filling in for the last two games. Nathan, what's it been like for you to kind of take on that role the last two games? I know not the circumstances that you would like, of course.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's certainly different to my day-to-day role. A lot more responsibility and a lot more management. So I've been fortunate that I've done it a couple of times before in seasons past when other things have popped up like coaching courses and stuff like that where Sean's not been available. So, but no, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's given me a chance to sort of take myself out of my own department and spread my wings and try and help the team the best I can. So I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Well, the second game on this two-game stint that you've been leading the club, you get the club's first ever win at BMO Stadium. You talked post-game about the message that you delivered to the club that week in training leading up to your game against Angel City FC, something about a boat and rowers. What was that message? Walk me through it, because I've been curious ever since Saturday night.
Yeah, it's just something. It's just something daft. We sat in the locker room before the kickoff, and I drew on the tactical whiteboard. I just drew a picture of a rowing boat, and there was 10 oars on one side, 10 oars on the other side, and we spoke about the effectiveness of the rowers, and each one of them has a responsibility, and their responsibility doesn't waver from the next person's responsibility, because if we have 10 people rowing in one direction and 10 people rowing in the other direction, we're just going to go around in circles, and it's not going to be effective. So we spoke about that and how they've earned the right to sit in the boat, and now they all have to row in the right direction. It was just daft. And then we talked about how we were going to row our boat into the middle of BMO and drop the anchor and leave it there, and then pick it back up with 3 points and row on home. So it was just a little daft, but my message to them for the last 10 days or however long that I've been taking this role has been about togetherness. It's not been about tactics. It's been about doing things together, bringing the group a little bit closer to in regards to relationships on the field, not just off the field, making sure that it's been a really positive environment where they've got some belief. And I thought you saw signs of it. I thought we saw signs of it against Washington for large parts of the game. Obviously, conceded some goals hit there, but we saw a lot of it against LA. It's just some resiliency, and everyone wanting to achieve the same goal, which was lead the place with 3 points, which was obviously the outcome. So I guess it worked.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about going into BMO and putting the anchor down. I feel like you guys did that in the first, 42 seconds? That's when Courtney Vine scored her first goal of the season. One, just how good was it for her to get a goal this year? But two, how important was that start?
Listen, for Court, it's been huge. She's had a stop start time with us since she arrived for various reasons. So it's nice that we've been able to get her back-to-back starts. I think it's the first time since she's been here that she started back-to-back games. So I'm happy for her. The goal is excellent. And she's full of confidence and self-belief at the minute. So I'm really excited for her. She had an important role within the game, and it was chasing people down when they had the ball, and then trying to get behind Sarah Gordon when we had the ball. So she was able to do it and accomplish that task within the first minute of the game. So I think her belief and her understanding of what her role looks like in that role is elevated, which is good. So happy for her. It was huge for us because I felt like we've been not slow starters, but maybe we conceded the first goal and now we're in for a fight just to get something back. So that's been tough. But I think they're just getting that goal there and quieting the crowd down a little bit was massive. And I know that they scored 10 minutes later, right? So it didn't last for that long, but just knowing that we could go that quickly to goal I mean, honestly, it's something that we've worked on all week is what that goal came from. So to see it come to fruition so quickly was hugely important, and it did settle us down.
Manaka credited with the assist on that goal. It's now four straight games that she's had a goal or a goal contribution. What are you guys doing as a staff, especially here down the stretch, that's really being able to kind of leverage her creativity on the pitch?
I think just having an understanding that there is that there's space to play in, and one of those spaces is behind their back line. So the more that she can offer a threat in behind teams, the better she is. You look at her goal against Washington. We win the ball back from pressing. She immediately recognizes that there's space behind them and runs behind. She does the same thing again this past weekend. The moment Shinomi was able to break and get beyond Sarah Gordon, she realizes that there's space behind and she runs into that space, almost the exact same space that she was played in last week. So I think in previous times we've been talking about the space in front of their line. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been speaking about the space behind their line. And she's really bought into it and said, you know what, I'm scoring, I'm getting good results. Let me continue to exploit that space. So just a small tactical tweak and some maybe some more demand on her to do that has been the difference. But she's a magical little player. I mean, she's so gifted. It's beyond belief. Honestly, as far as she wants to go, she'll be able to go. She's that talented.
You go into the 90th minute Saturday night, game tied 1-1. Was the thought ever in your mind, all right, maybe we're going to settle for the 1 point, or did you still have that belief that because of the way you were playing, the way you were dominating this game, that, hey, we're going to come back to Raleigh with 3 points and get the win?
Yeah, honestly, if you'd have asked me before, I think I said in the broadcast call before, I would take a point. I said to the staff, point here is good. Like we've obviously, I don't think maybe we've only had 1 point there before, or maybe we've not collected any. I don't know, but when we brought on Sanchez and Jaden Shaw, and I just felt like the game was there. I was like, we got to go for this, and I think they had a player go down injured in the 86th minute, right as we were about to bring Brianna Pinto on, and the group came in, and I let them spend the first 30 seconds to a minute just chatting amongst themselves. And then I said, okay, all eyes on me. And they looked at me and I said, are we having fun yet? And they're all like, yeah. And I was like, let's go win the game then. Let's keep pushing. And that's just that self-belief that they went and just did it. And Brianna is the epitome of clutch. I saw a stat, it was ridiculous. She scored 10 goals this season, of which 4 of them have been off the bench in injury time, and the other one was off the bench in the 86th minute. So yeah, I was happy for her, but I was overjoyed for the team. But in that moment, the way the game was going, we had to keep going. We had to keep pushing. And we'd worked on scenarios throughout the week. What does it look like if we're winning 1-0? What does it look like if we're losing 1-0? So they knew what we needed to do, and they got the job done.
You talk about the stat from Brianna Pinto. I think you're talking about what Nicholas Schnittker tweeted out. And actually, I copied it and I wrote it here. So Brianna Pinto has scored 10 goals in her career with the Courage. 5 of those have come in as a substitute. 4 of them have been in stoppage time. The other one was in the 86th minute. What is it about the way that she plays, the composure that she has, that allows her to deliver these clutch goals time and time again?
Yeah, her ability to deal with the ball in tight spaces inside the 18-yard box. Her finishing is excellent. She seems to find the right spot to receive the ball at all times. She had chances against Washington too, like the week before, in a similar situation where the opposition was deeper towards their own goal. But she just has just an inkling of where the ball's going to drop, and she's really dangerous in the box. So yeah, it's something that she works on a lot, is her finishing as well. But if that chance was going to fall to somebody, I was hoping it was going to fall to Pinto, because I had no doubt she was going to put it in the goal.
Defensively, you guys were phenomenal as well Saturday night. LA's attacking trio really has been great all season long, but they only got 2 shots off on goal. What was working so well?
Well, we tried to eliminate the space that their threats could exploit for us. So we know that they want to play in the wide channel and they want to send runners behind our line. So we doubled up in the wide channel in our back line and sort of man marked it was actually both the Thompson sisters ended up being the highest and widest players at most points. So we tried to eliminate the space with one player and then mark them with the other. It worked really well. I think only one they actually got beyond us twice in combination, once for the goal and then once in the second half a little bit later. And then obviously they have Tiernan, who's a threat inside the box, as she's shown not just this weekend but all season. So we worked on how we defend the box as well, and I think for the most part we did a good job. Some lapses of concentration, some slight moments of poor individual defending. that hurt us. But yeah, we tried to eliminate spaces for them to play in, force them to try and play through us rather than around us or over us. And to be honest, I thought they struggled at that moment, and that's where the game sort of fell into our hands.
Saturday night, we also saw a little bit of NWSL history being made. Kaylee Kurtz making her 100th consecutive start. All of those, of course, coming with the NC Courage. She's the first player in the history of the league to reach the century mark, all with the same club. She's 6 starts away from tying the NWSL record. You hear something like that, you see what she does night in and night out on the pitch. I mean, what does that say about her as a competitor, her endurance with this training staff that has been able to help her with to achieve these feats?
Yeah, she's just so professional in how she approaches everything. I give her some grief all the time because she's a pain in the backside. She's crazy, like as crazy as they come. She really is, but we love her for it. But she's really professional how she treats herself off the field. What she does in training, she communicates with us really well to say, "Hey, I'm not feeling so good. I've got some tightness here. Can I sit back and train a little bit?" Yes, no problem. Sometimes she has to be forced to do that as well. But yeah, she's just the ultimate professional, and it makes me happy because we've got a player that learned her trade and spent time to learn her trade. I think a lot of players these days are so eager to play straight away. The rookie year, okay, I've got to be playing. Why are you not playing? Agent, get me out of here, type thing. I'm like, no. Sometimes you have to learn your trade and learn how to become a professional because the college game and the program are vastly different. And KK, as we call her, has done that, and she's now reaping the rewards. And I can't say enough good things about her. Like I said, she is a pain in the backside, but she knows that. But she is a great professional. I was teasing her before the game, as a day before the game, we were talking about some set piece tweaks that we're going to make, and sometimes I like to get her opinion on it. So as we're talking about it, I actually informed her it was going to be her 100th start in a row. She didn't know. And she's like, "Oh, great." I said, "Well, just so you know, you're not going to start tomorrow." And she started laughing, like she didn't even bite at the joke. She was like, "No, I'm definitely starting." I was like, "Yeah, you are." So yeah.
She's like, that's cute, but I will be out there, whether you want me to be
Right.
or
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that from her.
We don't dictate that.
I thought one of the interesting things, I've been able to speak to several staff members over the week on the show. Victoria last week, we spoke with Emma a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that they said, and you really reiterated this in your post game, was that despite some unfavorable results the last couple of weeks, she felt like you've been playing some really good football, but it just hadn't kind of broke your way. How big was it to have a game like Saturday night when you play your game and it does go your way and you kind of have that sense of almost like, okay, we're back on track. Here we go.
It just continues to instill belief in what we're doing. The previous two games that honestly they're outliers for the rest of the season. Even early in the season, we were competitive in all the games, and the score lines were tight. The problem was we weren't scoring goals. We weren't giving up loads, but we weren't scoring. Then we went on a run of 5 games where we looked hard to beat. We were scoring goals. We weren't conceding many, and then obviously the San Diego game came, and yeah, even when I watch that game back now, I'm like, how did that game finish 5-2? It should have been 2-2 or 3-2 or 3-3. I don't know, but so the fact that was how do we get that message across to the team to let them know that, you know what, yes, the scoreline doesn't look great, but you are still doing things that are what we want. And the easiest way to do that was through the video to show them and highlight things that were positive and not negative. Same with the Washington Spirit game. And unfortunately, against those two teams, there's a reason that they're sat top of the league. They take their chances when they come. They're not wasteful with them. That's something that we are. We're a little bit wasteful with our opportunities. We were again this weekend. We have been for previous weekends. So yeah, we just try to install belief in them to let them know that what we're doing is right. You guys are on the right. You're on the right track, and listen, the results will come if we continue to buy in. And like I said at the start of this call, the key message for me is togetherness. And if they can do it together, we'll be fine.
Looking ahead to this Saturday's game against Houston, the final game before you hit that July international window, what's the message? Is it togetherness still, or is it kind of just closing out strong, getting on a bit of a win streak as you enter the break?
Yeah, I think obviously every team's going to want to finish strong. The message for me will always be togetherness because if there's a moment where we lack that, that's where we'll lose or we'll give something up that's not expected. We have to finish strong. It's almost like it's almost like we said that this is the start of the next part of the season before this weekend's even happened. So how do we start the next one? And as we sat and just did video now, actually before this call, we said the LA game doesn't mean anything, and that response to the negative results doesn't mean anything if we don't back it up this weekend. So our approach to this will be full steam ahead. It's the first time we've played at home in over a month. So we're excited to get back on our home field and yeah, hopefully finish the first part of the season really, really strong. But at the same time, we know that we can't rest here. This is not where we stop. This is not our end point. Our end point is at the end of next season. Then we pick up again from there. So yeah, we will be full steam ahead.
What stands out to you the most about this Houston team? I do know that there are a couple of girls women leading the way that play their college soccer here in the Triangle that you're quite familiar with. So, what stands out to you the most about the Dash?
You know what? They're resilient. They don't give up. I watched their game this past weekend against San Diego, and they're 3-0 down, and they could have just give up and said, "Nah, that's it." But they didn't. They continued to push to the end. They've been like that through the start of the season. They've got some good quality players within their team, and once they find the right balance of what team they put out there, they'll have success. Every game for them, I think every game has been really close. They have speed in wide areas through Avery Patterson, and I think they missed her this past weekend, but she's a major threat both on and off the ball. But they've got quality all over the field. Yasmin Ryan, Delaney Sheehan, they've recruited well in the off season. So I think, and Fabrice is a new coach, and we know Fabrice well from his time here. He's excellent at what he does, and I think just take some time for things to settle there and for him to get his understanding of what he wants from his game model and how they accomplish that on the field will take some time. But we know that they're a good team. Listen, you can't take any game off in this league. You really can't. So otherwise you'll get stung, and then you'll end up with 0 points and some sad people. But yeah, Houston will be good. They'll be competitive. We know that they'll continue to go and go and go till the 90th minute. So we have to match that at a minimum, and then hope that our quality shows.
3 points on the line Saturday night. All right, Nathan, you're sticking around because we're going to talk about just you coming up here after the break.
Sounds good.
We're back here on Extra Time with the Courage with assistant coach Nathan Thackeray. Nathan, you've been with the club since its inception back in 2017. I'm curious, what were those early days like, kind of building this thing up from the ground up?
Goodness, the early days seems like a long time ago. Yeah, I think outside of Steve as the owner and maybe one other staff member, I think I'm the longest serving staff member with either coach or front office. So yeah, I've been around a little while. Goodness, it was a little, it felt like semi-professional back then. Not obviously the league wasn't at the level that it's at now. The standards weren't. It was a little where we just grabbed whatever we can grab and piece things together to try and make a professional soccer team. Obviously, they come down as champions as when they won the previous year in Western New York, but we didn't have things in place to house a professional women's team, and we were just trying to piece it together. But it was slow and steady. But I mean, on the field, we were making an impact and having great success and results, and that showed. But behind the scenes, it was a little bit all over the place. I'm not going to lie.
What's the biggest difference from 2017 to 2025 for you?
Resources, and people are the biggest difference. We didn't have many resources or people on ground. I think if I remember traveling back in the day, I think we traveled with head coach, assistant coach, one athletic trainer, and one equipment person. So 4 people on the road to monitor or help an entire team. And then we look at this past week and we've got 15, minimum 15 people that are full time that are traveling with the team to help support. So the resources that we can pull from each of them to make sure that it's a more professional environment for the players is the biggest difference, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, 9 years with the club, you're going to kind of go through the waves. You were a huge part of kind of the development and the coaching of Caitlin Rowland, who is now on staff with you. Just like, how is that like? What is that like? Does it make you feel old? You're like, oh gosh, like I was just coaching her up, and now she's in the coaches meeting. Are you loving
Yeah,
having one of your former players kind of join your side of things?
it's been strange. I mean, she shares an office with me. She's not in here now, but it's been strange. I'm not gonna lie. I had a fantastic working relationship with Caitlin. As player and coach, we got along really well, and we had a similar philosophy in goalkeeping. And I think she was always from the beginning. She always wanted to get into coaching. So when I was a director with the academy, with the youth club here, and then with the goalkeeper coach with the pro team, Caitlin said that she wanted to do some coaching and try and start a pathway for herself. So she was coaching under me at the youth club for many a year. And obviously then she went on her ways and ended up at Bay, but she'd gathered so much coaching experience from years of being out on the fields with me. So the moment she called me up and said, "Listen, I'm thinking about retiring. Is there an opportunity for me to come back?" And I was like, "Well, what capacity do you want to come back in?" And she's like, "I want to work under you." And I was like, "Okay, let me go away and put a few phone calls in." And I called the club, the general manager at the time, Kurt Johnson, and the head coach Sean, and they were both like, "Yeah, let's get her on board. If she's going to start a coaching journey, she should start it with us." So she's been on board. She's been great. I think it's been a bit of an eye opener for her, because I think she thinks that the coaching piece is only on the field. So well, it's not. It's long days. It's in the office. It's watching video. It's prepping sessions. It's watching sessions back. It's a lot of stuff that goes on. So I think it's been like, woof, this is more than what I thought. Like I thought you guys would leave at 12 o'clock. I was like, it's almost 24/7 this gig. But she's done really well. And listen, I've been with the team now for the last 10 days, in a sort of interim head coaching role. So I've not been with the goalkeepers, but for me to just pass it on to Kate and say, "Kate, you run it," I have absolutely full confidence and zero worries that she doesn't have the ability to do it. She is going to be a top coach. She's already a very good coach. She's going to be even better once she learns the intricacies of it. So it's been nice to have her. It's been really good to have her.
Looking at your resume, you're kind of the king of double duty. It seems that way, at least, because I mentioned you've been with the NC Courage since 2017, but from 2016 to 2021, you were with the Youth Academy as well, doing some of the developmental side of the game. What did you enjoy the most about working with the Youth Academy and doing kind of the more player development, skill development aspect of the game?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where obviously I started my coaching pathway was in the youth game, like most people do. For me, it wasn't necessarily the development of the goalkeepers. It was more development of the program. So the youth club has a massive program, and we had, by the time I'd left, we had 320 plus goalkeepers that were all receiving competitive training, on a weekly basis, that were minimum 2 sessions a week. And then there was 15 goalkeeper coaches on staff. So for me, it was like, okay, how do I build this program that's not really been there before? There was people that obviously did some of the work, but for me, I didn't want to just build a wall. I wanted to build a cathedral. I wanted to make it fantastic. And then when I left, I wanted to have somebody be able to take over and it be seamless for them. And I think that's happened. So for me, it was the development of the program, and how do I impact not just two or three goalkeepers, but how do I impact all 15 coaches that are on staff for me? Because when I first came, there was only four, so and they were all part time. By the time I left, I think there was four full time, and then the rest part time. But how do I impact all those people to ensure that they're impacting so many more goalkeepers than I could? So that piece was the best part for me, developing the staff to make sure that they were developing the goalkeepers. And I think we had six, maybe seven goalkeepers turn pro in my 4.5 years in the job. So something worked. It was good. I did enjoy it. It was hard work, I'm not gonna lie. And then when I was doing both, I mean, I think I came in 2016, August of 2016, and then started with the Courage in January of 2017. So I was doing double duty for pretty much my entire time at the youth club, and at the end of it, I was cooked. I had nothing left. So I was thankful that I could step away and say I was done with it. I felt like I left it in a really good place, and then left it for somebody else to take over, and it's still in a good place now. So I'm happy about that.
Well, you say you were cooked, but you left and you still did double duty, working with the University of North Carolina under Anson Dorrance for several seasons. A legendary coach in this game, particularly, of course, at the college level and with the national team. What was the one thing that stood out to you the most about the way that he runs his program and has maybe kind of impacted you as you kind of have this 10-day stretch, however long it may last, of running a program yourself?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is he trusted the people that work for him. He was very hands off, but he brought in people that he said, you know what, this person's going to do a good job. This person's going to do a good job. So between myself and Damon and Alex Kimball, who was on staff at the time, we had full license to run it the way that we thought we needed it. And then he came in and stepped in moments to give advice and whatnot. But I think he was preparing himself for his own transition to leave the game. But he had full trust of his staff, and I think that's a huge message for any head coach. If you're going to bring people in, trust them to do the work properly, and trust them to do the work the way that you want it to be done, and the messages that you want to give. And Anson did that. To his credit, he did that really, really well. He's quirky, he's funny. I enjoyed working with him. He's very passionate about the game, certainly about the women's game. He actually texted me this weekend. He'd stayed up and watched the game against Angel City, and he was texting me talking about the game, and then telling me about how good our Japanese players were, and then the fact that a Tar Heel scored the game winner made him really excited. So, but he just loves the game. I mean, his kickoff here was 10 o'clock, so by the time it was finished, it was probably past midnight. He's 73 years old and still has a huge passion for the game, even though he's not in it day to day. So I appreciated my time with him, although it was only short. I learned a lot from him in regards to management.
Well, I'm curious because you were on staff at North Carolina, so you worked with Damon Nahas, and obviously you work with Sean now. Do you consider yourself like an honorary Nahas brother because of just, I mean, you can't get away from them. It's
Nahas sandwich. I don't think anybody's ever ordered one of those. No, listen. The reason I took that job is because Damon is a close friend, and he asked for some help. He knew that I'd worked with goalkeepers in the past. He needed some help on the field, so I said, yeah, I can do it in a part-time capacity, and I did it I think I did it for just shy of 2 years, as a not as a favor. That's not fair to say, because I actually wanted to do it and see what that looked like too. But I did it mainly because of him, and the opportunity to go and work with him. And I've known him for a long time, and you couldn't get two more different people. Damon and Sean are very different. The way that they coach, their mannerisms, the way that they interact with people is very different. But I've enjoyed working with both of them.
I know this is probably a long-winded question that I'm about to ask you, but what's been the most rewarding part of your coaching career so far?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I struggled on it too. Um, for me, it's seeing the players that have invested in themselves develop to become either great versions of what they can be, or elite level professional athletes. That's probably been the most rewarding, because it makes you know that you've had an impact on what they do. And I can think of names off the top of my head. I mean, there's two or three here. Ryan Williams, Kaylee Kurtz, two players that invested in themselves, that did it the hard way. They learned their trade, they learned how to be a professional, they developed as players, and now they're reaping their own rewards. So that's a great feeling, to be being a part of it. I've got kids that have, I mean, goodness, there's a goalkeeper now that's playing in the USL at the pro level, and he came from absolutely nowhere, and everybody doubted him, but he was the hardest working kid and at the youth level, and now he's playing as a professional goalkeeper in the USL. So those things are, for me, are the most rewarding. It's not championships or winning titles. Those are great and all, but honestly, I have two championship rings and I don't even know where they are. But I do know where these players are and what they're doing because I interact with them all the time. So that's the most rewarding piece for me. That's why you get into coaching, certainly at the youth level. It definitely is. So yeah, I guess that would be the right answer. I don't know. A little bit long-winded, and it's a tough one to navigate, but I think it is the most rewarding. Yeah.
You gave me some chill bumps on your answer, saying you didn't know where your championship rings are, but you know where all of the kids that you coach are. I think that's the best possible answer you could have given. Nathan, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend against Houston.
Thank you, Jordan.